My story: I had my weekly therapy session last night recounting my various traumas again, and he suggested I write them out in detail, so obviously trigger warning here and probably NSFW. So, apologies for the long post in advance. Here goes. The first time I remember feeling sexual was when I was around 6, seeing my dad in the shower. It wasn't an attraction to him and nothing ever happened with him, but it was the first time I remember being aroused by a man. Being in a very Pentecostal Christian family, I eventually became aware of how sinful I was and how I was never going to heaven. So, abuse 1, religious abuse. Result: shame, guilt, self-hatred. I was about 11-12 when I started playing with a neighbor friend. We were about the same age and his family life was not great, so he spent a lot of time with me. We eventually became really good friends and, like most kids do, started experimenting sexually with each other. My little kid mind loved him and knew he was the only person I was able to be my true self with. This continued for about a year until he suddenly moved away and I was devastated. About that time I was staying at my grandparents' house and a distant cousin was visiting, staying there too. For some reason I don't remember, we were alone in the house. I was sleeping over and at some point in the night I awoke in a strangely uncomfortable pain. The cousin, can't even remember his name, had gotten in bed with me. He was naked and started fondling my asshole, eventually putting a finger or two inside me, thus the awakening. I was shocked at first and tried to get away, but he, early 20s, wrapped me in his arms, kissing my neck, telling me he thought I was handsome and that he wanted to show me how much he loved me. Again, little kid brain me was craving an escape from my isolation and wanting to feel something, anything, so I submitted. I was instantly hard as a rock, and I think he took that as evidence of my willingness. The next thing I remember is feeling something wet on my hole, followed by an intense pressure. I was, geez, kinda what wasn't I? Nervous, anxious, scared. If I didn't do it right, would he still love me? I felt a searing pain and a sensation I hadn't known before as he slowly entered me. I do have to say, for my first time, I was certainly lucky to have a gentle experience. But little kid brain kicked in again and I immediately felt dirty, sinful, unlovable, and wrong. I cried in silence as he slowly built up to finishing inside me. When he was done and pulled out, I heard him gasp and ask me if I was okay, to which I didn't answer and just kept sobbing. He kissed me and left the room. I curled up into a ball, still in intense pain but feeling like I deserved it because I wanted it, and cried myself to sleep. It wasn't until the next morning I figured out why he gasped. The bed was covered in my blood, and even more humiliating, my cum. I hadn't even registered that I'd climaxed. There had been so much pain. I got up, went to the bathroom and cleaned up as best I could and took the bloody sheets off the bed. I have no idea where my 12-year-old brain came up with the idea, but my grandfather used to smoke fish in a little shack in the backyard and I took the sheets out there and burned them. I still wonder if my grandmother wondered why there were no sheets on my bed the next day. My grandparents were back from wherever, and my parents came over to pick me up.